Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be posting another update to my Drytron deck profile. This is the list that I'm going to be working with for the next little while at least. I'm going to be taking it to locals for the next few weeks or so just to work out the kinks. This is a Pure Drytron list similar to the one that I posted earlier, except I've kind of come to some realizations while building it that this way I think is better than that previous one that I uploaded just a couple of weeks ago. So I'll get straight into it. This is post Crossout, this is post the Mega Tins. And I'll show you what we are working with. The Drytrons are still fairly self-explanatory. 3 Alpha, 3 Zeta. I wasn't going to get secret rares, but I could not resist, even though it means now the rarities are mixed. 3 Gamma, playing 1 Delta. This was 2 Delta, but I'm playing 1 Beta. I think in this list, Beta is what serves a purpose because we are focusing a lot on Draconids, the ritual monster. So Beta does serve a role. But as for the names there, the names we're playing. For the other monsters in the deck, we're playing 1 Manju of the 10,000 Hands. We're playing 1 Chaos Valkyria, 1 Drytron Meteornus Draconids, and 1 Cyber Angel Benton. So this is the fairy package, the ritual monsters. That's it, that's all we're playing. Obviously that means after turn 1, the alphas, the zetas, they kind of lose a lot more purpose, and Gamma and Delta really take over. In terms of our Drytron monsters that serve a purpose, I was playing 2 Manju, but then just trying to consolidate space. I'm playing a fair few hand traps in this deck and just cards to more disruptive cards. So I've tried to streamline the list a little bit more, and 1 Manju is fine. Realistically, it's only searching Draconids, so if the Manju gets negated, we're just going to search the Draconids on the next turn anyway, which is not the end of the world. One of the biggest changes that I've had since that last list just a little while ago is playing 3 of the Drytron Fafnir field spell. Now in the past this was cut because by a lot of Drytron players simply because if you got drolled on the Fafnir it was pretty rough. But I figured at the end of the day Fafnir is still going to search you a Nova, and Nova still equals a body. In this list I'm playing 1 other target for Fafnir, so obviously there's Nova, obviously there's the ritual spell, but I'm playing 1 other target as well. It's a disruptive card. It's only there for those times where you do open Nova plus access to Zeta as well, so you don't need the ritual spell. And I'll get to that in a minute, but Fafnir is really good because Fafnir is an interruption on its own. It has a level reduction ability, which can come in handy against certain decks, depending on the matchup. So for something like PK, for example, PK relies a lot on level 3s, and Fafnir just kind of ruins that completely. Salad is another thing that's at my locals a fair bit. Stopping Mirage Stalio, being able to access Mirage Stalio by reducing the levels is also pretty cool. So it just kind of comes up, and then if you're using Fafnir to search for the 3rd target, then it becomes a 2nd interruption because the quick play is also an interruption itself. I'm playing only 2 Nova. With 3 copies of Fafnir, the 3rd Nova was another spot that I could cut down on a little bit, because if you think about it with the Drytrons, there's 5 names, which means you can summon 5 monsters. So eventually Nova and Emergency, you'd rather them be Drytron names, even if they're a name that you've already got. So you'd rather see 2 Alpha than a Nova that you can't use, or 2 Novas. So by only running 2 Nova, it means there's less copies in your deck. We can obviously see it fairly frequently with Fafnir. And by that same logic, I'm playing 2 Emergency. I'd rather just see the names in my hand, and that's just the philosophy that I've taken, I guess, with this deck. I haven't noticed any kind of decrease in consistency. I'm still seeing the Drytron names plenty. So this has been working for me recently. Of course, the 1 Meteornus. This is the new card, it's not a new card, but it's the new addition to my list, which is Drytron Asterism. What it says is during the main phase, target a Drytron or ritual monster you control and a face-up monster your opponent controls. Your monster loses exactly 1,000 attack until the end of your opponent's turn, and if it does, destroy that opponent's monster. So it's just a weak Salamangreat Rage, essentially. Target a Drytron, pop a card. It's just a target that does something that's semi-relevant. It's a disruption if you need it. If you draw it, it's okay. But if you open Nova plus Zeta or Ritual Spell and Fafnir, it's something else that you can search, which isn't the worst thing ever. Playing one Foolish Burial, it's still another name, which is really good. Now the rest of the deck is what we're using to combat the meta, I suppose. It's our going second and disruptive cards. Starting of course with Crossout Designator. So this card's pretty good. Obviously it stops a lot of hand traps, and the hand traps and the cards that we're playing are common enough that my locals are playing them, but also they're just cards that are generically good in most matchups. So they kind of serve two purposes. They're Crossout fodder, but also they're just good hand traps. I'm also playing 2 talents. If I had space for the 3, I might play the 3rd, but I think between the Crossout, the talents, and the Cord Bite, I think we've got enough coverage over hand traps, or enough to do against hand traps. We're then playing 2 Nibiru. We're playing 2 Ash. We're playing 2 Vela. And 2 Impermanents. So they are the 8 hand traps we're playing. Obviously they're generically good, but also they give us a lot of coverage against what would be used commonly against Drytron, without accessing the side deck. So once we go into the side deck, obviously people are going to bring in Droll and things like that. I'm siding Droll. At worst, you can just side in 1 copy and have that protection in games 2 and 3. But obviously if it's a deck that plays Droll, or that loses to Droll, then obviously you can side in both when we get there. The last 3 cards, rounding out our 42 card main deck, is the Dragoon package. Dragoon is still really strong, and if you do happen to get hand trapped to pieces and don't have the Crossout Designator and things like that, then Dragoon is still just a good card to end on. The extra deck. Now, because we're playing Manju over Diviner, now I didn't really spend too much time talking about it, but by not playing Diviner, obviously we're losing access to Beatrice, but by not playing Diviner, we also kind of save in a couple of extra deck spots, which means my extra deck has a lot of space for just good tech cards, which some Drytron extra decks don't have, which is good. Playing, of course, just the double Fafnir, playing 1 Zeus. We've got space in here for Downed and Nightingale, which is really good as well. And I'm playing Abyss Dweller. So in the main combo, this is an ending point that you can get to by using Chaos Valkyria and Manju. So if you need it to go into Dweller, then the Chaos Valkyria is really good, and Manju being level 4, that gets you Dweller. But otherwise you can just use the Chaos Valkyria and Manju as link fodder. But Dweller's there if you need it. It's just one of those flex spots that we can end on. Dragoon, obviously. The rest of the deck, our extra deck, is Link monsters. We're playing 1 Underworld Goddess. I think this card's just insane. Comes up a lot. We're playing 1 Boral Sword, Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus. So we've got space for all 3. We've got IP, Verte, and Anima. I've cut Link Karibo as of late. I rarely need the down arrow. So in those instances where you do need to make Anima, Anima going into Verte is fine. And you don't rarely need that arrow from Link Karibo. And Anima is really good. If people don't play around their zones, then Anima comes up, which it has done at my locals, which is nice. The side deck that I'm currently working with, we're playing 3 Lava Golem. Our only normal summon is Manju. It's really not super necessary to normal summon depending on the hand, so having Lava Golem is just an extra 3 cards that we can normal summon going second, and obviously it's a lot more impactful going second than something like a Manju would be. 2 Lancia, 2 Droll, and 3 Dark Ruler. So as far as siding for combo goes, this is obviously just a lot more cards that are really good against combo. And depending on the deck, certain hand trap lineups and obviously these more board breaking cards come in clutch. Then for the slower matchups, so we've got the 3 Twin, playing 1 Cosmic and 1 Reboot. This will probably be Harpy's Feather Duster. I've got it somewhere, just got to go find it and replace the Cosmic with the Harpy's Feather Duster. But otherwise, that's the side deck. Now, what I'll show next is it's a very quick combo. It's just what Alpha and Zeta can do. And yeah, I hope you enjoy that. Okay, so this is just going to be the standard Alpha Zeta combo. There's nothing too flash here. You've got a lot of options in terms of how you're going to end the board. Obviously, this variant of Drytron is really cool because you get the added coverage of Designator. So you just have that added assurance that your plays are going to go through. Obviously, if you open it, there's not a lot of hand traps that we're not covered from. The main one, obviously, is Gamma. Cyframe Gear Gamma is something that I'm not playing and is obviously not good in Drytron to play, unless I was playing something like Hulk, for example, but we're not worrying about that. So obviously Gamma is the one hand trap that really can hurt, but otherwise we're fairly safe. But the combo, I'll just do this quickly because it's something I'm sure you've all seen before, but it's going to be Alpha Tribute Zeta, Zeta Tribute Ben 10, and then Ben 10 searches the Manju. Overlay for Fafnir, and Fafnir will send the Gamma. So this is all very much the same, nothing too different here. We can go and activate Meteonus, take a material off. I typically like to go Zeta first. Zeta is the one that loses, realistically, Alpha and Zeta both, if we go full combo, lose a lot of utility on turn 3 because we have no more ritual monsters, but ritual summon Ben 10, and now we contribute the Ben 10 for the Gamma, and bring back the Zeta, and the Ben 10 will search us the Chaos Valkyria. We can target the Gamma and add back the ritual spell, and we can normal summon the Manji. The Manji is going to add the big ritual monster. From here, we can go Meteonus. We're going to use Mu Beta Fafnir and the Alpha that's a material to summon Draconids. We can summon the Valkyria by banishing the Ben 10. We've got no more use for it. And from here is where you decide how you're going to end your board. Obviously, we're going to keep this, but you've got 4 monsters, which is obviously a different place here. So hypothetically, this could be Dweller and IP, if you really want it to be. It could be IP, and instead of going into Dweller, you could go into Verte, using those, and then obviously bringing out Dragoon. It's really up to you. You could obviously go Dragoon and Dweller and leave the IP. This is not too bad, going IP and Verte, especially game 1 if you don't know what your opponent is playing. Because you can, once obviously use Draconids, you can go IP, Verte, and the Draconids for Underworld Goddess, and obviously one of their monsters, hypothetically. But yeah, there's lots of things you can do. You can, if you know you're playing against a deck that Dweller is really strong against, you can just go for Dweller. Obviously there's a lot of decks in the meta that Dweller will hurt, so Dweller could just be a turn 1, a game 1 play as well. But otherwise, that's the deck. If you want to see test hands, let me know, and I can do some more test hands, but I'm going to leave it there just because it's hopefully fairly self-explanatory in terms of the play style and what we're trying to achieve. Obviously, there's 3 other cards in our hand. It could be Crossout, could be hand traps, anything like that. Could be another more extenders to kind of vary the end board a little bit. You might be able to, for example, you could keep the Fafnir on board, depending on the hands, and have that alongside Draconids, so it's a spell trap negation as well. But yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do. But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this just quick update to the deck, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it performs over the next little bit at locals.